The Brilliant World of Tom Gates by Liz Pigeon. Even though I only live 4 minutes away from my school, I'm often late. This is usually because me and Derek, my best mate and next-door neighbour, chat a bit. Okay, a lot, on the way. Sometimes it's because we get distracted by delicious fruit chews and caramel wafers at the shop. Occasionally it's because I've had loads of other very important things to do. For instance, this is what I did this morning, my first day back at school. Woke up, listened to music, played my guitar, rolled out of bed slowly, looked for socks, looked for clothes, played some more guitar, realised I hadn't done my holiday reading homework, panicked, thought of a good excuse for lack of homework, annoyed my sister Delia, which I admit did take up a very large chunk of the morning. Time well spent though. Hid Delia's sunglasses, took my comic into the bathroom to read while Delia waited outside. Ha ha! When Mum shouts, "Tom, you're late for school!" Run past Delia, who's still waiting outside the bathroom and quite cross now. Ignore her sisterly love. Creep! Say precious time, boy. Not brushing hair, not brushing teeth for very long, not kissing Mum goodbye. Too old for all that kind of thing. Eat the last piece of toast, then grab my packed lunch and my bike. Shout bye to anyone who can hear me, then bike to school in about 2 minutes flat, which is a new Tom Gates world record. And this is the really good bit. Amy Porter has just arrived too. I'm so pleased to see her after the holidays. I smile in what I think is a nice, friendly, cheery way. Amy is not impressed. She looks at me like I'm weird. I'm not. Me smiling. Hi, Amy. This is a bad start to my day. Then it gets worse. Mr. Fullerman, my form teacher, makes the whole class stand outside my room. He says, "Welcome back, Class 5F. I've got a big surprise for you all," which is not good news. Oh no, he's rearranged all the desks. I'm now sitting right at the front of the class. Worse still, Marcus Mooney Meldrew is next to me. This is a disaster. How am I going to draw my pictures and read my comics? Sitting at the back of the class, I could avoid the teacher's glares. I'm so close to Mr. Fullerman now, I can see up his nose. Before, Mr. Fullerman in the distance, me at the back, reading my comic. Now, glary, beady eyes. "Tom, I can see you." Me at the front of the class. And if that's not bad enough, Marcus Meldrew is the most annoying boy in the whole school. He's so nosy and thinks he knows everything. Marcus Meldrew is already annoying me. He's looking over my shoulder while I'm writing this. He is still looking. Yes, Marcus, I'm writing about you. Marcus Meldrew has a face like a mouse. Marcus Meldrew has a face like a moose. Moosey Marcus. He stopped looking now. But on the other side of me, the good news is I'm sitting next to Amy Porter, who is very smart and nice, even though she didn't seem thrilled to see me this morning. Brilliant. At least I can have a sneaky look over her shoulder for a few right answers. I think she is looking at me now. Amy Porter is very nice. Amy Porter is very smart. She's not looking. She's ignoring me, I think. So might as well stop writing nice things now and draw a doodle instead. This cheers me up. Marcus gets squished by a big monster. Then Mr. Fullerman says, "As you can see, I've changed a few things around. Don't I know it?" Then he begins to take the register. Usually I would take this opportunity to draw a few cool pictures or take out my comic for a quick read. But I'm so close to Mr. Fullerman and his beady eyes that I have to wait until he finishes and walk to the back of the class before I can get doodling in my book. Okay, he's gone now. I'm thinking of names to call my band that Derek and I are in. We're not very good yet, but if I can think of a really good name, that will make it seem extra cool. How about Alien Twins? Foot Fighters? I know. Dog Zombies. Mr. Fullerman interrupts my drawing. I've turned the page over fast so he can't see it, and hand out the first piece of work we have to do this term. Groan. Holiday story writing. Welcome back, Class 5F. Today I would like you to write a story about what you did on your summer holidays. Did you go away? Did you visit your family? What was the weather like and where did you stay? Remember to describe everything in lots of detail. I'm really looking forward to reading all about your holidays. Mr. Fullerman. My holiday wasn't a great success, but it does have a very happy ending. Here goes. Camping sucks. This year, Dad said, let's go camping. It's cheap. Mum didn't seem that keen, but I've never been camping before, so I was looking forward to it. Dad and I went to the camping shop to buy a few essential items like tent, 1, tent, 2, sleeping bags, 3, cooking stuff, 4, fishing rods, 5, TV, no, 6, computer, no. We don't need much, he said. Dad, but the camping shop had some cool stuff and Dad got carried away. He spent a lot of money and made me promise not to tell Mum. We could have stayed in a nice hotel. It would have been cheaper, Dad said. Not the same as sleeping under the stars and waking up in the fresh air, said the man in the shop as he took Dad's money. Once, on top of everything Dad bought, Mum packed a whole lot more. The car was stuffed. My sister Delia wasn't happy about coming with us. She's not allowed to stay in the house on her own anymore because she had a wild party the last time Mum and Dad went away. I stay next door with Derek. His parents got woken up and weren't happy either. We set off, and for a while the holiday was going well. Then we took a wrong turn and got lost. Mum blamed Dad for not listening to her properly. Dad blamed Mum for not reading the map the right way. They both blamed each other. It was only when the car got a flat tyre that they stopped arguing. They phoned the car rescue service, who eventually turned up. It took ages to fix the tyre, and we didn't make it to the campsite until it was dark. Delia wasn't happy. Delia's never happy. She said the place looked rank, and she couldn't get a signal for her phone. Ha ha ha. I thought it looked okay, so I helped Dad with the tent while Mum unpacked the car. Delia did nothing. Of course. The tent was tricky to put up, but we did the best we could. It was a bit late to eat. Dad said, I'll cook a big breakfast in the morning, but my stomach kept rumbling and I couldn't get to sleep. Then I remembered the secret stash of biscuits in my bag, so I grabbed them and ate them all. Crumbs got everywhere and it was very uncomfortable in my sleeping bag, even though we had a family tent with separate rooms. Delia could hear me shifting around and fidgeting. It was really annoying her. Brilliant! So I did it some more, but at the same time I could also hear Mum and Dad snoring, and that was keeping me awake too. The noise was awful. It seemed to be getting louder and louder. It was almost like thunder, deep and rumbly. Then I realised it sounded like thunder, because it was thunder, which was getting closer. There was lightning too, and really heavy rain. That was right above our tent. The storm was huge, and it didn't take long for the tent to blow away. Ah! Help! Everyone had to run to the car for cover. The storm lasted all night long, and everything we had got wet and muddy. Dad had pitched the tent right next to a stream, which flooded all our stuff and got us soaked. Nobody slept at all. It was miserable. In the morning, Dad tried to get his money back from the campsite owner as we slept in the car. He complained a lot, but it didn't work. Mum collected our soggy belongings, which were all ruined, including the tent. I could hear them muttering things like proper holiday next year and Greece under her breath. Delia was crying again because her mobile phone had got wet and wasn't working. That cheered me up, so I decided to try and make the best of the holiday and go exploring. There were lots of interesting looking trees to climb. I nearly was at the top of one when suddenly a branch snapped under my foot. I hadn't realised how high up I was until I fell down. It was pretty impressive, really. Delia heard me yelp as I hit the ground. She came over and just watched me as I rolled around on the ground in pain, holding my arm. Ha ha ha, freak! It felt really bad, but Delia didn't look too concerned. Eventually, she got Mum. That's all I need, said Mum, as she took me to the first aid tent. They gave me a lolly and put my arm in a bandage. I was very brave. It looked like our camping holiday was going to be very short. More rain was due, so Mum and Dad decided, under the circumstances, no tent or dry clothes, we should go home. I wasn't that upset, and Delia was delighted, so we all packed up and left the campsite. On the way home, we stopped off in a nice restaurant where I managed to eat a huge pizza with my one good arm. My bad arm was really hurting, but I didn't complain because it was the first time in ages that everyone looked happy. Our neighbours, Mr. and Mrs. Fingal and Derek, were surprised to see us back so soon. My bad arm was so painful now that I went to my room to look at it. Worryingly, it had turned purple and swollen up like a balloon. I showed Mum and Dad. They looked shocked. Delia said, "You look like a freak," which was kind of her. Mum and Dad got back in the car and drove me to the hospital, leaving Delia at home. Luckily, my arm's not serious. I just sprained it, and the bandages was put on too tight, so they redid it and put it in a very cool sling instead. I'll live, apparently. It was quite late by the time we got home, and there was music blasting out from our house. Mum and Dad were furious. Delia had invited lots of her friends round for a party, and boy was she in trouble. I forgot all about my sore arm, because listening to Delia being told off and grounded by Mum and Dad was probably the best part of my whole entire holiday. You're grounded. What were you thinking? It sounds like you had a very eventful time, Tom. Excellent work. I felt like I was there, but glad I wasn't. 5 merits. I got 5 merits. Wow, Mr. Fullerman liked my story. I've never had 5 merits before. I leave my book open so Amy Potter can see how clever I am. But she doesn't seem too interested. Maybe this will help. I got 5 merits. No, she's still not looking. Marcus says he's got 5 merits as well. Great, I say. We're like twins now. He's so annoying. I show Mum and Dad my story because I think they'll be pleased with me for a change. Instead, Mum gives me a note to give to Mr. Fullerman. Dear Mr. Fullerman, we are delighted Tom got 5 merits. Also, can I just say that this is not the usual type of holiday we have. We are actually very responsible parents. Tom's arm is fine now, in case you were wondering, and in case he tries to get out of doing PE. Kind regards, Mr. and Mrs. Gate. I think Mum was worried my story made them look bad. Break time. I am catching up with a few friends who I haven't seen over the holidays. Mark Clump got another pet, but he won't tell me what it is. Norman Watson's not allowed to eat sweets or anything with E numbers in, because they make him go really wild. But I can see him running around the playground with his jumper over his head, shouting, "I'm a spaceman! I'm a spaceman!" which makes me think he's had a few sneaky sweets already today. Solomon Stewart, his nickname's Solid, is the tallest boy in the whole school. He has grown even more, I think. Then Derek comes over. He's in Mrs. Worthington's class, not mine, because we chat too much. I've seen him loads during the holidays. His hair has grown. He hasn't. I show him my ideas and drawings for the band name. He likes Dog Zombies best. Me too. When Marcus Meldrew barges into our chat. What's that? Ideas for our band. What band? Me and Derek are in a band and we're thinking of what to call ourselves. That's easy. Really? Marcus has an idea. Yeah, just call yourself the Total Losers. Ha 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 ha, says Marcus, who's even more annoying this year than last year. If that's possible, Marcus being a twit. Ha 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 ha. Homework already from Mr. Fullerman. It's like we've never had a holiday. Homework. I'd like you all to write a review. It could be a review of a book, play, concert or film. Something you have seen or read. Ask yourself lots of questions. Describe the film, concert. What did you like or not like? What was it about? Looking forward to reading them very much, Mr. Fullerman. I'll see what's on telly tonight, then read the newspaper review. That's always a good start. Mr. Fullerman's shadow. Sitting so close to Mr. Fullerman is already proving tricky for me, because I'm being forced to work. It's exhausting. Amy doesn't seem thrilled to be sitting next to me. Maybe if she sees me working, she'll think I'm smart. I will try and impress her. She's just caught me sneaking a look at her work. I pretend to be drawing, but I've been rumbled. I know, I'll draw something funny instead. Mr. Fullerman with hair. Amy's still not impressed. After lessons, I meet Derek by the bike shed. Our bikes are very cool. Mine's covered in stickers and doodles. Derek's is a bit battered, but super fast. There's a very odd-looking bike in the shed, which catches our eye, not in a good way. It's covered in fur and fluff, with silly wobbly eyes and weird bits hanging from the handles. It looks like Marcus, Derek laughs. Or Norman Watson on sweets, I say. But a little new kid who doesn't know any better, says Derek. What kind of person would have a stupid-looking bike like that? I laugh. Ha 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 ha. We both laugh. Ha ha ha. But Amy Porter is not laughing because it's her bike. School caretaker Stan is shaking his head and tucking in a disapproving way, which is making his keys jangle. Tut 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 tut. Because I've upset Amy again. She calls me an idiot and takes her bike away. I say sorry, but Amy ignores me. She ignored my 5 merits too. It's been a terrible day. On the way home, I see posters for my favourite band, Do 3, all over the town. Even this doesn't cheer me up. Derek does his best to make me laugh, but all I can think about is Amy calling me an idiot, harsh, and Marcus calling us losers. Look on the bright side, Derek says. But when I ask Derek what the bright side actually is, he doesn't know. It's a saying. Great. I'll have to think of a way to make it up to Amy, which is not going to be easy. Band practice with Derek tonight might not be so good because there's absolutely nothing that will cheer me up now. Not a thing. Total bad day. Mum's bought caramel wafers. Fantastic. Brilliant. My favourite. Hooray, hooray, hooray. I've suddenly cheered up. Derek and I eat 2 caramel wafers each and drink some squash. Perfect preparation for band practice. Mum tells me to leave one for Delia, as if. Instead, I take the last one and show Derek my favourite wafer biscuit trick, which goes like this. Remove wafer and biscuit from wrapper really carefully. Eat last wafer biscuit quickly before Delia comes in. Home, half each. Yum, yum, yum. Carefully refold wrapper to look like wafer is still inside. Watch Delia open the wafer wrapper. Ha ha ha. My trick worked a treat. I can hear Delia moaning to Mum about me downstairs, so I take the opportunity to sneak into her room and borrow a few copies of Rock Weekly for Derek and me to look at. Good inspiration for band practice. There are loads of good pictures of bands inside. We take turns to try out a few. Rockstar posers. Some of them are more successful than others. Delia's sunglasses. Mustn't forget to do this week's homework. Write a review. Should be easy. Mr. Fullerman, I'm very sorry. You'll never guess what happened. I had just finished writing in my homework review when I accidentally spilt the biggest glass of water all over it. I'm very upset as it was a very good review. Probably worth at least 5 merits, if not 6. Oh dear, Tom, what a mess. I will look forward to seeing it redone for tomorrow. Watch out for those big pesky glasses of water in future. I think I got away with it. That excuse will definitely do it for tomorrow. Art. It's art now. Brilliant, as it's one of my favourite lessons. Mr. Fullerman would like us all to draw a self-portrait. These will be put around the whole school for everyone to see and laugh at, probably. Mr. Fullerman hands out small mirrors so we can look at ourselves while we're drawing, which is not easy at all. The class are all concentrating and quiet for a change, apart from Norman Watson, who keeps shining his mirror in other people's faces, so he's moved. Then Mrs. Worthington, Derek's teacher, comes in and takes over from Mr. Fullerman, who's gone off to do something important, like drink coffee and read newspapers in the staff room. Mrs. Worthington sometimes takes us for maths. She is always very enthusiastic about everything. She's being very enthusiastic now. Hello, lovely Class 5F. I'm looking forward to seeing all your lovely pictures, she tells us happily. Because I like art and drawing, I'm working extra hard. Amy's self-portrait looks a bit odd. She doesn't really look like that at all. Hers is still better than Marcus's. He's drawn himself with a really big head. Well, that bit's true to life. Mrs. Worthington sees I've finished my portrait and comes over to take a look. What a marvellous picture, Tom, she says. Mr. Fullerman will be pleased, she adds, but I'm not really listening to her, because I've suddenly noticed that this close up, Mrs. Worthington has something on her top lip that looks a bit like a moustache. I'm trying really hard not to stare. It's tricky not to. Don't stare. Look at her face, not her moustache. Tom, why don't you do another wonderful portrait? Good idea. Only this time really think about the person you're drawing and don't forget to put lots of detail in. Okay, Mrs. Worthington, I'll do my best. Here goes. Mrs. Worthington. Extreme close-up. Moustache. I'm getting the feeling that Mrs. Worthington doesn't like my portrait very much, or me now. Oakfield School, re. Tom Gates. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Gates, I'm very sorry to inform you that Tom has a detention tomorrow lunchtime. This is due to an unfortunate portrait he drew of me. I do hope Tom will learn the lesson that there is a big difference between drawing a portrait with detail and just being plain rude. Yours sincerely, Mrs. Worthington. Lesson learnt. Don't let teachers see my drawings in future. When I get home, Dad already knows about my detention because Mrs. Worthington has phoned. And more bad news, Delia took the phone call, so she knows about it too. Great, like the letter wasn't enough, Mrs. Worthington might as well have announced my detention with a plain, Tom has detention, or a hot air balloon. Tom has detention, so everyone in the whole town knows. Groan. Dad tells Mum, and now Derek isn't allowed to come round for band practice tonight, and she's making me do an extra chore. Sweep the kitchen floor or take out the bins which smell. Some choice. Delia is loving this. She keeps saying, "Diddums," to me in a really stupid baby voice, which is driving me crazy. But I can't let her see she is getting to me, or she'll keep saying it all night. All night long. And probably tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Dad gives me one of his little chats and tells me if I don't work hard at school, I'll end up like him. Not such a bad thing if you ask me, because Dad's got a pretty good job. He has his own office, well, it's a shed in our garden, where he works on his computer designing stuff. Occasionally, he gets to work in other people's offices. Mum likes it when that happens because he has to look smarter and he earns more money. I prefer it when Dad works at home because he has a secret stash of caramel wafers in the shed that I eat, and Mum doesn't know about it. So there I am, sweeping the kitchen floor when Granny Mavis pops over to borrow a cookbook. "Hello, Tom, just popping up to pick a cookbook." I call Granny and Grandad the fossils because they are both old and very ancient. "You never use cookbooks," Mum says in a surprised way. "I'm inviting the whole family round for lunch," Granny says. "Really? Oh dear, that's not really very good news. Let me explain." Whee! The fossils alert! Granny Mavis and Grandad Bob are not your usual kind of grandparents, especially when it comes to meals. They like to experiment and eat very odd combinations of food. Tea and cornflakes, pear and onion soup. Also, Granny is just rubbish at cooking, so Mum loads her up with a pile of cookbooks in the hope she might actually use a real recipe. I'm still sweeping and trying to make Granny feel sorry for me by doing a sad face. Hopefully she'll slip me a bit of extra pocket money. Granny does that sometimes, but Mum tells Granny why I'm sweeping the kitchen. Rude drawing. Oh dear. Detention, blah blah blah, drawing, blah blah blah, moustache, blah blah blah. And now she wants to go to the shop, to buy milk. Work, 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 so Granny can have a cup of tea. Luckily, Granny gives me extra money to buy myself a treat. Result. In the shop, I'm deciding how to spend my treat money. Sweets, caramel wafers, when I spot this month's copy of Rock Weekly. And on the cover is the best band in the whole world. Do 3. I have to buy it. And there's even enough money left for 2 fruit chews as well. Brilliant. Mum asks, "Where's the milk?" Suddenly, I remember why I went to the shop and hired my copy of Rock Weekly. The shop had run out, I say. Phew, quick thinking. Must tell Derek about Dude 3. Granny Mavis has hot water with a slice of carrot instead, which is a bit bonkers even for her. I have read the whole interview with Dude 3 and I can't believe they are actually coming to play a concert in our town. I go on the computer to listen to their latest track and see where else they're playing. This is amazing. Derek is online and is just excited about it as I am. Do 3, do 3, do 3. Woo! Can't wait, dude, man. Still, I will so be there. Me too. Brilliant. Can I read your mag after? Bring to school, yeah? Spread the do 3 word. Dad calling. Time for burnt food. Pretend it's fast food and eat it really fast. Lol. Aha, give it to Delia. She won't see it in her dark glasses. Freak. Good news about the concert. Bad news. Me and Derek are too young to go on our own. Dad will probably want to come too, which is okay, as long as I can get him to promise not to sing, dance, wear anything embarrassing. which could be tricky because he likes to do all those things, sometimes at the same time. Go back to reading my Rock Weekly. Yeah, Oakfield. Hardly slept at all last night. All I can think about is Do 3 are coming to town. Fantastic. Even Delia seems excited. For her, anyway. It's hard to tell. Sad? Happy? Jolly? As long as she doesn't stand anywhere near me, I'm not bothered. The tickets cost a lot of money. As if I'm going to get Dad to pay for them, I will have to be on my best behaviour at all times. This will be tough, but worth it. Have the control, Dad. You okay, Tom? Biscuit, have you licked it? T, what have you broken? I'm reading the copy of Rock Weekly in the bathroom while Delia is banging on the door outside. The crosser she gets, the slower I read, and brushing my teeth takes ages. It makes me late for school again. Worth it though, so I don't bother brushing my hair. Just grab my clothes off the floor. They're crumpled, but who cares? Then I stuff as much toast in my mouth as possible and take an apple to eat on the way, which is not easy on a bike. I make it to Mr. Fullerman's class with 30 seconds to spare. I'm feeling pretty pleased with myself, so I try another cheery smile at Amy, who for some reason makes a "you're disgusting" face at me. Why? Me smiling. Hi, Amy. Mr. Fullerman announces, I hope you've all remembered it's your individual school photo today. No, I forgot. Smug Mug Marcus obviously did remember. He's looking all shiny, neat and new. Yuck. I'm looking slightly more crumbled than usual, due to my rush start to the day. Oh well, never mind. How bad can any school photo be? The whole class line up in the hall. I'm second in line after Norman Watson, who is all twitchy and jumpy. I really hope Norman hasn't eaten any sweets. The photographer asks Norman to stop jiggling around. Oh dear, he's definitely had sweets. Eventually, after loads more goes, Norman sits long enough for one photo to be taken. The photographer whispers, this is going to be a very long day. Then it's my turn. Florence Mitchell, another super smart girl, and Amy are watching me along with the rest of the class. I have an idea. I will try and look mean and moody, a bit like the photos of Do 3 and Rock Weekly. Brilliant! But the photographer is not impressed and tells me to cheer up. So I try and smile a bit. Then he says really loudly, oh dear, you've got something nasty stuck between your teeth. He walks over and hands me a mirror. Could this be any more embarrassing? Better do something with your messy hair too. Here's a comb. Now everyone is looking at me. It's just got a lot more embarrassing. Shame. I have toast crumbs around my mouth and bits of apple skin stuck between my teeth. Why didn't Amy tell me? And now I've gone bright red too. So much for a cool school photo. It's going to be hideous. The photographer takes my picture and I can't get out of the hole fast enough. I've humiliated myself in front of the entire class. Now I will be forced to hide this school photo from everyone for the rest of my life, especially Mum. She likes to send my school photos to relatives all across the world. There are second cousins in Outer Mongolia who have my school photos on their walls. 2 Vera Gate, 5 Green Lane, Outer Mongolia, the world. Tom Gates photo enclosed. Break time. I'm looking for Derek in the playground and I can't find him anywhere. His bike is in the shed, so I know he's here. I wonder if the school photo was as bad as mine. Impossible. I ask Stewart, the tallest boy in the whole school, if he can see him. Solid points to a boy on the climbing frame. He looks a bit like Derek, but it can't be him, because his top button is done up, and he's got a horrible neat side parting. Mum made me, Derek says, for the school photo. Shame. Then Derek hangs upside down on the climbing frame and his hair goes back to normal, which is just as well, because no one in Dog Zombies should ever have a neat side parting like that. More importantly, Derek and I chat about how Do 3 are the best band ever, how we really need to go and see them, how Dog Zombies need to practice more to become the best band ever, biscuits, which are better, chocolate hobnobs or caramel wafers? 5. Which biscuits to eat at band practice? Chocolate or caramel? Who cares about stupid school photos? Maths. Mr. Fullerman hands out our maths worksheets. On the outside, I'm forcing myself to look fascinated and interested in Mr. Fullerman's sums, when really, on the inside, I'm still reliving the humiliation that was my school photo over and over again. Hideous school photo. I wish it was the end of school right now, so to cheer myself up, I draw a few more band logos and ideas. I'm careful to do some sums as well, so it looks like I've been working out. I'm a genius. Marcus is straining his head and trying to look over my shoulder so he can see what I'm doing. Get lost, Marcus. Marcus add Marcus equals idiot. Mr. Fullerman is looking at me now, so I put my right arm over my drawings and do a few more sums. Marcus is leaning back in his chair now to see over my arm. I think he can see my doodles, so I turn my back on him and he leans forward. Then I lean back and he puts his head on the table as if he's trying to see under my arm. Ha ha! Marcus, stop trying to look at Tom's work and concentrate on your own. Yes, Marcus, no cheating. Serves him right. Then, while the attention is on Marcus, I take the chance to have a sneaky glance at Amy's sums and memorise a few answers. At least this way I would definitely get some sums right. Then I carry on with my drawings. I'll show them to Derek later. This maths lesson is turning out to be quite good after all. Result. Mr. Keane is Oakfield School's headmaster. He likes to pop into classes to see what we're up to. Today he decides to say hello to Class 5F, us. Luckily I have some impressive looking maths in front of me. Thank you mostly to Amy. Hello, Class 5F. Hello, Mr. Keane. Mr. Keane then launches into the usual type of headmaster chat. While he does that, here are a few interesting facts about Mr. Keane. He has a very red face that gets redder when he gets cross. 2. Mr. Keane gets cross quite easily. Here is a redometer that shows clearly the different stages of redness Mr. Keane's face goes through. Redometer. Cross. Angry. Very angry. Raging. 3. Mr. Keane's eyebrows look like two hairy caterpillars crawling across his face. Mr. Keane is still chatting when my stomach starts to make a really loud grumbly hungry noises. It's nearly lunchtime. I'm hoping he might take the hint and stop talking, but he carries on. When my stomach growls again, I pretend it's not me by staring at Marcus. The bell goes off for lunch, but Mr. Keane still keeps rambling on. I'll let you all go to lunch now, he says. About time. There's a trick to rushing down to the dinner hall without looking like you're pushing anyone out of the way. Very fast walking does the trick. I grab my lunchbox and try not to take in the smell of UFOs, unidentified food objects that are being served up. On Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays I have packed lunch. On Thursdays and Fridays I have school dinners. This is because on Thursdays Amy Porter has school dinners, and on Friday it's chips. Derek is already sitting at the table eating, so I sit next to him, and then Norman Watson sits next to me. When I open my lunchbox, there's a note inside from my Granny Mavis. Enjoy, love, Granny. Oh no, I forgot Granny likes to help out and make my packed lunch when she visits, and I wasn't there to stop her. La 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 la. I'm really hoping that she hasn't actually tried to cook anything odd for me. Looking in my lunchbox, I can see something that looks a bit like a pizza. It is a pizza. So far, so good. Made in the shape of my face, I think. It's my face, grown. On the pizza there's cheese. Okay. Tomatoes. Okay. Olives. Ugh. And something else that I personally don't think should ever be on a pizza in a million years. Ever. What was Granny thinking? A banana. There's a banana on my pizza. I take it off really quickly before anyone sees that I have a banana on my pizza and thinks I'm weird. Too late. Amy and Florence walk past me and both pull a "That's disgusting" face at me and sit at another table. Then Norman Watson nudges me and says, "Is that banana on your pizza?" "Maybe." I say, "Yum, I'll have it if you don't want it." So I let Norman eat my banana and don't ask any questions. Derek whispers, "That's gross." But Norman seems happy enough, so I keep quiet. I eat the rest of the pizza anyway. It tastes a bit banana-ish in places. Granny Mavis has a few more unusual surprises for me lurking in my lunchbox. Cucumber juice in a can, lavender and potato biscuits, and a lemon. Why? Derek has some more normal food for lunch, which he shares with me. That's why he's my best mate. We're just about to go to break when Mrs. Mumble, that's her real name, makes an announcement over the tannoy system. No one can ever understand what Mrs. Mumble says, so you have to listen carefully. Hello, will Tom Gates go to see Mrs. Worthington? Tom Gates, thank you. I think she said Tom Gates to see Mrs. Worthington. She did. I forgot about my detention. Groan. I have to help Mrs. Worthington put up all the portraits we did. Not the one I did of her, obviously. When she's not looking, I add a few extra details to Marcus's portrait, which I think are a good improvement. Class of portraits: Ross White, Paul Jolly, Solomon Stewart, Norman Watson, Julia Morton, Mark Clump, Amber Tully Green, Pansy Bennett, Solomon Stewart, Amy Porter, Trevor Peters, Brad Galloway, Leroy Lewis, Tom Gates. That's me, Florence Mitchell, Indrani Hindle, and Marcus Meldrew. I am an idiot. Oh no, Mr. Fullerman's been looking in my book. Tom, I'm sure Dog Zombies is a fantastic band, but you need to concentrate on your maths in the future. By the way, I like this logo best, Mr. Fullerman. I make a huge effort to pay attention in lessons, as I can't afford to get into any trouble, especially if I want Dad to buy Do 3 tickets. Even though I know that Mum and Dad will now use this at every opportunity to make me do stuff that I really don't want to do, like eat your vegetables if you want those Do 3 tickets. Tidy your room if you want those Do 3 tickets. Let your sister in the bathroom first if you want those Do 3 tickets. I can hear them now. This is not going to be easy. Blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to be extra good in Mr. Fullerman's lesson. I even volunteer to hand out the school trips forms. Marcus tries to grab his form from me straight away. I say, manners, to him, then leave him until last. I make him reach for his form a few times, which is fun, until Mr. Fullerman gives me one of his scary glares, teacher stare. The trip actually looks like it could be quite good. Year 5 class trip to British Museum to look at the Egyptian mummies. Dear parent carer, this term we will be studying the Egyptians and would like to take all the classes to the British Museum as part of the project. This will be for a whole day and the children will need a packed lunch. We will be travelling by coach and will need helpers on the day if anyone is available. Please fill in the form which gives your child permission to attend the trip. Many thanks, Mr. Fullerman. Tear off the form to return to school ASAP. Child's name: Tom Gates. Class 5. Class 5F. I give permission for my child to go to the British History Museum. Yes. Signed, Rita Gates. Print, Rita Gates. I did that one. Does your child have any allergies? Yes. If so, what are they? Do not give Tom any vegetables. Are they taking any medicines? If so, what? Yes, cough sweets, or just sweets would be fine. Are you able to help on the trip? No. Today, Mr. Fullerman asks us to read out to our class what we did on holiday stories. I feel happy about this because I got 5 merits for mine. It will be a good opportunity to impress Amy, hopefully. Norman Watson reads his first. He went to Disneyland. He's so lucky. But he didn't get 5 merits like me. Ha ha! Marcus Meldrew got sent away to summer camp for nearly the whole holiday. I think he annoys his parents as much as he annoys me. I'd send him away for the whole year if I could. Julia Morton's I Found an Interesting Shell story isn't interesting at all. This lesson is starting to get a bit dull when Mark Lump stands up and reads my new pet snake, which gets my attention. He tells us about the mice he keeps in the freezer to feed the snake with, and how he bought the snake, where it lives, what the snake is called, Snakey. Not very original. It's a really good holiday story, and the best bit about the whole story is when he reaches inside his desk and brings out his pet snake. Here's Snakey! It's awesome, but Mr. Fullerman doesn't think so. Neither do half the class, who run out screaming. Mr. Fullerman makes Mark put his snake away. The school office ring his mum, who comes to pick them both up. which is a shame because I really like snakes and I didn't get to see it properly. At the end of the school, we get a note to take home. Dear parent carer, please can we remind all children that no pets of any kind can be brought into school. Pets are for home, not for classroom, especially pets that can be considered slightly scary, like snakes. Thank you, Mr. Keane, headmaster. Talking of pets, Derek is getting a new pet dog. I can't wait. Delia is allergic to dogs, so I'm not allowed to get one. But Derek can bring his dog round all the time. Because 1, I really like dogs. 2, Delia will be forced to stay in her room or she'll have to go out. Either way, she won't be around to annoy me. Perfect. Derek's dog. Derek sends me a photo of his dog. This weekend, the whole family are having lunch at the old fossil's house. Mum is stressed out about what we'll be eating, especially since I mentioned my banana pizza. Dad is stressed out because his brother, my Uncle Kevin, and his family will be there. Uncle Kevin seems to know a lot of things. Dad says it's because he's a know-it-all. Auntie Alice always laughs at Uncle Kevin's jokes, even when they're not funny, which is most of the time. What do you call a man with no hair? My brother Frank. Ha 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 ha. Delia is in a bad mood because she doesn't want to go. I say, Delia's got a boyfriend. Delia's got a boyfriend, which puts her in an even worse mood, if that's possible. Mum and Dad say, she has to come. Something tells me this lunch isn't going to be much fun. Luckily, the fossils are in a very good mood and happy to see everyone, which helps a lot. My twin cousins are already there and eating. They eat loads. They are even taller than Solid. I say hi to them. They don't talk much. They just wave at me. Mum asks what we're eating for lunch today. We all listen nervously. Granny announces we're having chicken stuffed with cheese, roasted eggs, peas on a stick. I really hope it tastes better than it sounds. We're all sitting at the table when Kevin asks Dad if he's got border, which makes Auntie Alice laugh. Dad doesn't look too happy. Granny steps in and asks, is everything okay? We all say, yes, delicious, and nice things like that. But I notice no one is eating very much apart from the cousins, and Delia is secretly texting under the table. Uncle Kevin starts talking about their amazing 3-week holiday in Greece, so I tell everyone about our terrible 2-day camping holiday and how it rained and the tent was washed away because Dad stupidly put the tent up by the stream, and then how I fell out of the tree. Auntie Alice and Uncle Kevin seem to be enjoying the story. Mum and Dad are glaring at me in a be quiet kind of way. Grandad changes the subject and asks me about my band. So I tell them Dog Zombies, and then I tell everyone that Do3 are coming to play in our town. Dad is so brilliant. He's promised to buy tickets for us to see them, I say. Dad looks surprised but doesn't say no. I'm a genius. Turns out that the cousins are huge fans of Do3 too. It's the most excited I've seen them since they won a chocolate fountain at their school fair. Hooray! Yeah! Uncle Kevin suggests we all go together on a big family night out. I don't mind who I go with as long as it's not just Delia. So I say, great, but Dad doesn't look pleased at all with the idea, especially when Uncle Kevin starts going on about Dad's terrible taste in music when we were growing up. Dad is just about to say something to Uncle Kevin when Granny bursts into the room with pudding. She has to explain what pudding is because no one can tell. It's a massive pile of bright pink pancakes that taste okay but look like horrid raw bits of liver. On the way home we stop off for fish and chips because everyone is still hungry. Mum and Dad don't seem happy. Delia is miserable. No change there then. But I'm very happy because 1, I'm definitely going to see Do3 now. 2, Granny Mavis gave me some sweets and a pound on the way out. Result. Can't wait to tell Derek. All I have to do now is ask Amy to the concert. Today I was only a tiny bit late for school. Hiding Delia's sunglasses took slightly longer than usual. Slipping them into an open bag of salad was inspired. I thought Delia would never have found them if Mum hadn't been making sandwiches. I got out of the house before Delia or Mum got the chance to tell me off. Just crept into class in time for registration. Mr. Funneman looks up from the register and asks me why I'm late. I did what anyone would do in my position. Blame my older sister for locking me in the bathroom. Mr. Fullerman makes a note of my excuse in the register, then moves on. Phew. Amy Porter isn't in the slightest bit interested in my excuses because she is too busy memorizing her spellings. Oh, no, not the spelling test. This is not a good start to the day. I'm panicking and wondering how I'm going to get through this when something brilliant happens. I look over at Mr. Fullerman's desk and I think I can see all the answers to this week's spelling test. The paper is turned over, but I can make out what the words are backwards and copy them down quickly before anyone notices. Like this. This test will be easy peasy now. Mr. Fullerman begins the test. I'm pretending to think carefully and write them down, and straight away I realise there's a very big problem. These spellings are not the same as Mr. Fullerman's, which makes me think I've written the form for next week's test instead. I'm panicking. My mind's gone blank and I've missed the first 3 spellings already. 4 spellings, 5 spellings, 6, 7, 8. The whole test I keep pretending to write so Mr. Fullerman doesn't suspect anything, and I hope for the best. If Mr. Fullerman spots that I already have next week's test, he might smell a rat. Cheat. The test is over and we have to swap papers with the person next to us so they can mark them. Marcus hands me his paper. Oh dear, I'm in trouble now. I have to think quickly. Disaster has struck in the shape of a leaking pen. Mr. Fullerman makes me clean up my ink accident. Whoops. I get to check Marcus's test. He's thinking he's done very well and is looking extra smug. Marcus Meldry. 1. Potato. Cross. 2. Volcano. Tick. 3. Tatwoo. Cross. 4. Kangaroo. Cross. 5. Hero. Tick. 6. Igloo. Cross. 7. Echo. Tick. 8. Mango. Cross. Only 3 out of 8 for Marcus. Not so smug now. Amy got 8 out of 8. She's so smart. I say, wow, well done, Amy. It's winding Marcus up. You're so good at spellings, aren't you? Then Amy says, thanks, but I can't draw like you can. She actually said something nice to me. So while the class are checking spellings, I show Amy my latest dog zombie drawings and ask her to pick the best one. She chooses the same one as Mr. Fullerman. This is the longest conversation I've ever had with Amy. I tell her about Do 3 and how they're playing in our town, and it turns out that Amy really likes them too, which is brilliant. I'm trying to think about the best way to invite Amy to see Do 3. When she says she likes singing, I say, I like singing too. Then she says, really? And I say, yes. Can't get enough of singing. So she suggests I join the school choir, like her. And I hear myself say, that's a great idea. I'd love to join the choir. Why did I say that? Which is exactly what Derek says when I tell him, I'm joining the choir. It'll be good for my singing and the band. You think so? Derek is not convinced. No, I don't think so. But I'm hoping Amy will come and see Do 3, and I can't tell Derek that. I pass a choir practice poster on the school notice board, and I can't believe rehearsals are at lunchtime. I don't even get to miss a boring lesson or 2. I'll go maybe once or twice to keep Amy happy, then drop out later on. Good plan. Singing is fun. Come and join choir with Mrs. Knapp. Practice on Wednesday lunchtimes in the school hall. Everyone welcome. School assembly. It's a special assembly today. I can't believe that Marcus is getting an award for his holiday homework. This seems very unfair as I got 5 merits as well. Mr. Keane, our headmaster, gives out prizes in front of the whole school. It would be sick making to watch Marcus being ultra smug. To make it worse, Mr. Fullerman asks Marcus to take the register to the school office. Marcus thinks he's something special. While he's out of the class, I decide to add my own comments to his work. Mr. Keane is standing in front of the whole school. He is telling us the usual sort of thing that headmasters like to say. Lots of hard work, looking forward to blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting behind Solid, so I can't see much of what's going on. Mrs. Knapp leads the school in a rendition of Morning Has Broken. She is another one of those very enthusiastic teachers who sways a lot from side to side while singing at the top of her voice. Morning has broken. Pansy Bennett, don't mess with her, she's tough. And of course Marcus are both getting awards. Brad Galloway, who has cool hair, is next to me. I tell him to keep his eyes peeled on Marcus. Shh. Mr. Fullerman is giving me the beady eye now. Beady eyes. Mr. Keene says, today we have some very important prizes to give out. Will Treasure, Alexander and Grace Cole come up and get their certificates for good work on their shared nature project. We all clap while the girls show everyone their very impressive project, Frog Life. Will Pansy Bennett and Marcus Meldrew come up with their excellent My Holiday homework? Pansy holds her book up. It has some nice looking writing and drawings in it. Everyone claps. Then she takes her certificate. Next, Marcus holds his work up to show the whole school. He's parading it around so the whole school can see what's written in his book. Everyone bursts out laughing, and they keep laughing. My holiday, I am an idiot. Ha 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 ha. I enjoy the moment. Marcus takes a certificate and sits back down quickly. He's still wondering why everyone was laughing at him. I wish all assemblies were this much fun, because for a short time I forgot all about promising to join the choir. It's only when assembly's over and I walk past that poster again that it all comes flooding back to me. Groan. Mr. Fullerman's not in a good mood now either. He suspects I had something to do with adding to Marcus's work. He reminds me about my review and tells us about the school concert. The choir will be singing, apparently, and if that's not enough, he gives us a parents' evening slip. How am I supposed to fit in band practice now? I managed to get through the rest of the lesson by concentrating very hard on two things. 1. What I'm going to eat for lunch. 2. The small black fly trying to land on Mr. Fullerman's round head. Blah, blah, blah. It takes a while, but the fly gets there in the end, and Mr. Fullerman says, glad to see you're paying such a close attention, Tom, which makes me laugh. Then Amy mentions, choir practice this lunchtime. Great, I say. Can't wait. Groan. Mr. Snap welcomes the new faces, me, to the choir. I never knew Solid was in the choir. He kept that quiet, and oh no. Marcus is here too. Great, I can't get away from him. Amy looks pleased to see me, so that's something. Mrs. Knapp puts me right next to Marcus. Again, she begins by making us do ridiculous warm-up exercises for our voices. We put all silly faces and make odd noises. Oi, 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 oi. Then we learn songs for the concert, which is surprisingly fun. I'm almost starting to enjoy myself. Mrs. Knapp asks us all to sway from side to side when we're singing. We're supposed to all sway together in the same direction, but Marcus keeps swaying, accidentally on purpose, into me. So I sway into him. Then he sways back into me and stamps on my foot. So I give him a big shove, which gets him off my foot. Then he sways into me again. So I sway just that little bit too hard into him. And Marcus goes flying onto the floor, as if he's been hit by an elephant. Now he's snivelling on the ground, shouting, Tom pushed me! Tom pushed me! He's so annoying. Mrs. Knapp helps Marcus up, then sends me out saying, you should know better, Tom. Perhaps choir isn't for you after all. I thought I was doing so well. I draw a picture of Marcus, which makes me feel better. Marcus is a slimy toad. Croak. History. Back in class, Marcus is sitting as far away from me as possible. Just as well, I say. Marcus is an idiot, Amy tells me. She saw him push and tread on my foot. Maybe choir practice was a good idea after all. While Amy is feeling a tiny bit sorry for me, I take the opportunity to ask her about Dude 3. I remember Amy loves the band. You going to see them? I say. I wish, she tells me. I don't have a ticket. Then Marcus, who just can't help himself because he's a nosy twit, butts in. I've got VIP tickets. His dad knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who has got them tickets. Yawn. I tell him VIP stands for a very irritating person, and he believes me. Ha ha! So I invite Amy to the concert with me and Derek and my dad. I don't mention Uncle Kevin, Auntie Alice and the cousins, and she says, okay, and goes back to reading. Brilliant, I say, and that's it. All sorted. We're all going to see my favourite band. That was easy. Then stupidly I stopped listening to the history lesson and imagine being at the concert instead, which is much more fun. Dude 3 are fantastic, playing all their great songs. Suddenly, in the middle of a guitar solo, the Dude 3 guitarist is taken ill and has to be dramatically carried off the stage. The lead singer asks the crowd, Does anyone know how to play Do 3 songs? Me! I shout and jump up on the stage. The crowds cheer. Amy cheers. Derek cheers. I start to play and the crowd are amazed. They begin to call my name. Tom! 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 Mr. Fullerman is shouting at me. I've missed most of the history lesson. Worth it though. We'll catch up tonight and get back into Mr. Fullerman's good books by not being late for the school trip tomorrow. Which I'm really looking forward to now. School trip. Mr. Fullerman is not pleased because I am late again. It was Delia's fault. Well, that's what I tell Mr. Fullerman. Everyone is already on the coach and very excited, especially Norman Watson, who keeps leaping up and down in his seat. On the coach, I can only see one spare seat left, right next to, oh no, not Mrs. Worthingtash. Hello, Tom. Derek has already seen me replaced by him, but he thinks it's funny to watch me panic. Your face, he laughs. Haha, very funny, I say. The coach journey takes ages because some of the class need the toilet, and Julia Morton feels travel sick. She's got a nasty shade of green, so we have to keep stopping. Eventually we arrive at the museum. It's huge, with big stone steps up to hold wooden doors that have massive pillars either side. Lots of other schools are there, all better behaved than ours. We get split up into 3 groups with 1 teacher each. We've got Mrs. Knapp. We're all given our Egyptian quiz to do. I'm in Amy's group with Derek, so we rush around the museum, mostly copying what Amy writes. The quiz doesn't take long, so we get to check out the gift shop early. I know exactly what I want to buy. At lunchtime, someone, me, gives Norman half a caramel wafer. I forget that sugar makes Norman even more hyper than usual. We are all sitting, listening to the museum Egyptian expert. She is showing us a real mummy and telling us in great gory detail how the Egyptian would use a long hook to pull out the dead person's brain through their nose before mummifying them. Julia Morton goes green and feels sick again. Norman can't sit still and wants to take a closer look at the mummy. He jumps up a bit too quickly. Pushes Brad Galloway, who bumps into Leroy, who falls on Solid, who accidentally shoves Mrs. Worthington. Then she falls over and knocks into a very rare Egyptian vase. Thankfully, Mr. Fullerman manages to catch it. He's holding onto it really tightly and breathing a sigh of relief just when Julia Morton leans forward and is sick in it. I don't think that's what Egyptian vases were originally used for. The museum expert can't get rid of us quickly enough. While Julie is getting cleaned up, we all get to go to the gift shop again. I buy some brilliant Egyptian tattoos. On the way home, the coach is much quieter because some kids have gone to sleep, including Marcus, which is excellent news because 1, I don't have to talk to him. He's so annoying. 2, I'm still cross he got me kicked out of choir practice. And 3, it gives me a chance to try out my new Egyptian tattoos, which works a treat. I'm doing some more drawing, which gets me thinking about some other interesting stuff. Rules. Here are a few rules based on stuff that's happened to me, so it's all true. Rule 1. School photos are always hideous. It's the law, I think. Even if a world-famous photographer was to take a school photo, it would still be rubbish. Rule 2. Your sibling, in my case Delia, knows way to annoy you that nobody else does. Rule 3. Your parents get more embarrassing with age. My dad is now officially the world champion of embarrassing dads. When we get back from the school trip, Dad was waiting there to pick me up. He was wearing a nasty coloured bobble hat with his name on it, muddy jeans tied up with a piece of string, no belt, just string, a grubby shirt with holes and patches, and filthy old Wellington boots. Hey, Tom! I've been gardening, he said. Like that's an excuse. Well, I won't bother to pick you up again, if only. Brad Galloway and Mark Clump both thought he was a tramp. Look at that tramp over there, they laughed. Imagine if he was your dad, Brad said. He is my dad, I told them. I couldn't get home fast enough. I only forgave Dad when he pulled out 4, slightly muddy, D3 tickets from his pocket. Brilliant. That's why he came to pick me up. I'm officially excited and very happy. At home, Delia spoils everything by waving my school photo around and laughing at it. Freak photo or what? Annoyingly, I have to agree. It's awful, terrible, a really rotten, cheesy picture. Hideous school photo. I've got odd hair and a red face. I knew it would be bad, but not that bad. Ah, I grab it back from her and try to hide it before Mum sees it. Delia says, "Too late, nerd boy." Apparently, Mum loves it and has already ordered about 1,000,000 copies for the entire family. Groan. I tell Derek about the Do 3 tickets. Derek tells me he's got a new puppy. He's going to bring the puppy over to mine tonight for band practice so I can see it. Also, Delia is allergic to dogs and that will keep her away. In class, Mr. Fullerman appears to be in a good mood, despite me only just making it to school on time and forgetting my review homework. Again. Today we're going to be making models of pyramids, which sounds like fun for a change. He puts us into groups. I'm with Norman, Amber, Pansy, Indrani and Solid. I'll have to move tables. Solid has a good idea for the shape of the model. It should be a sort of pyramid shaped. Genius. Indrani draws a card template and Amber cuts it out. Then we all help to cover it in glue and paper, which makes a nice and sturdy model. Everyone is working together really well, and usually for Class 5F, our pyramid is actually starting to look a bit like a pyramid. Mr. Fullerman's attention is on Mark's clump group, who aren't doing so well. Then Norman starts to get bored. He gets bored easily. Let's make a mummy, he suggests. Great idea. Norman gets 6 loo rolls from the school toilet and tries to wrap up Solid, but there's not enough paper to cover him. Too big and tall, so we use Norman instead. He's smaller, but a lot more fidgety. Keep still, Norman, I tell him. It's not easy covering his legs and head with the loo roll. When he's finally mummified, Norman starts walking around with his arms stretched out, like a real mummy. He makes "whoa, whoa" noises. It's very realistic. He's good. He's scaring Amber. Ah! Mr. Funman looks over to see what we're up to. Suddenly, Mr. Keene, the headmaster, bursts into the room on one of his little visits. Norman is still behind the door. He doesn't move. Mr. Keene asks about the school trip and admires our pyramid work. Whoa! What's that strange moaning noise? The class start to laugh. Whoa! There it is again. Mr. Keene's face starts to hover around the getting cross colour on the redometer when he's called away by an announcement from Mrs. Mumble. And as Mr. Keene closes the door, everyone can now see Norman making "whoa" noises and pretending to be a mummy, including Mr. Fullerman, who's not in such a good mood now. It's been an eventful day at school. I can't wait to meet Derek's new puppy now. He's very cute, unlike Derek, although I can see a slight similarity from the picture he emailed me. We let him run around my house, into Delia's room, where he chews a few pairs of sunglasses and jumps onto her bed. Good dog. Delia is furious, but she has to keep her distance because she's allergic to dogs. Derek and I are busy practicing some new Dog Zombies tunes. Derek's dog is howling along. When Dad pops his head around the door, he wants to know if we need another guitarist for the band. We don't. He says things like that in a jokey kind of way, but sometimes I think he really means it. Dad reminds us about the concert next week. Apparently, Delia's not coming with us because she's going with friends. I think she has a boyfriend, which is a horrible thought. At least she won't be able to spoil my fun like usual. Uncle Kevin, Auntie Alice and the twins are meeting us at the concert. I feel sorry for someone who ends up standing behind the twins. They won't see a thing. Derek and I discuss wearing our Do 3 t-shirts. Must check what Dad plans to wear in case it's too embarrassing. It will be. Tom, where is your homework? Mr. Fullerman is in a really bad mood today. I keep forgetting to bring in my review homework. I'm going to get another detention at this rate. He's not pleased at all. Plus, we have parents' evening tonight. I forgot about that as well. Now Mum and Dad will be the last parents to see Mr. Fullerman because I didn't bring my form in. Being last will give them far too much time to look at my work and chit-chat to everyone, teachers and other parents. It will be awful. Mr. Fullerman gives us today's work. Class 5F, today I'd like you to write a piece about your hobbies, anything that you do outside of school. Sports, music, swimming, singing. Do you like collecting stamps? Do you like drawing? Why did you start the hobby? What did it mean to you? Do you need any special equipment? Have you won any prizes? Would you recommend this hobby to anyone else? Write at least one A4-page, please. Mr. Fullerman. My hobbies are annoying Delia, being in a band, and eating caramel wafers. I could write a whole A4 page on annoying Delia, but I'm not sure that's what Mr. Fullerman had in mind. What to write? I know, I'll make up a more interesting hobby for me to do. Something funny. Good idea. We spend most of the day sorting out our classroom and getting our books ready for parents' evening. Marcus leaves his books out on the desk. Well, he goes to the toilet. Big mistake. I slip a few drawings I've done in between the pages of his work. That should make his parents' evening more interesting. Mr. Fullerman is a pig man. By Marcus. My parents are thick. Ha ha ha. By Marcus. Ha ha. Mr. Fullerman is an idiot. By Marcus. Actually, by me. Parents' evening. Mum and Dad, as predicted, are not too happy that they'll be the last parents to see Mr. Fullerman. It's always a bit weird coming back into school in the evening, especially when the classroom is all clean and tidy, not like normal. Mr. Fullerman is wearing a suit and looks uncomfortable. Dad is wearing a terrible t-shirt, so I beg him to leave his jacket on. Mum insists on looking at every piece of work up on the walls. Worse still, she keeps talking to teachers that I don't have any lessons with, and parents of kids I don't even know. It's so embarrassing. I spot Solid, who doesn't look too happy. He looks just like his dad, though. Parents' evening sucks, he whispers. I agree. Then I see Amy. Her parents are with Mr. Fullerman already. They are both smiling and laughing. No problems with Amy's work, then. Dad says he's got Amy's Do 3 tickets in his pocket, and he could give it to her folks now. Folks? Don't say folks, please. So he waited for them to finish. Then Dad strikes up a conversation with Amy's dad about music, in a really loud voice. Amy rolls her eyes and looks at me. Sorry, I say, and we both have to stand there and wait for our parents to stop embarrassing us. They chat for ages about all kinds of rubbish. Then Dad forgets to give them the tickets after all that. Finally, when Mr. Fullerman has seen all the other parents, it's our turn. Grown. He brings out a folder that's full of letters. Tom letters. Can I start with Tom's letters from home, he says. Mum and Dad look a bit puzzled. Not the letters. No, I've been rumbled. Dear Mr. Fullerman, poor Tom has a cold and can't do sports outside, ever. Love from Rita Gates. Dear Mr. Fullerman, please can Tom be excused from spelling this week? He's had a difficult week. Family stuff. Thanks. Rita Gates. Dear Mr. Fullerman, Tom has been helping his sick grandmother and has not been able to do his homework. Sorry. Rita Gates. Dear Mr. Fullerman, Tom's delayed homework was due to his sister being nasty to him and not letting him use the computer. We have told her off. Thanks. Frank Gates. Dear Mr. Fullerman, Tom has been helping his sick grandfather and has not been able to do his homework. Whoops. Frank Gates. Dear Mr. Fullerman, please can Tom be excused from swimming? He is allergic to water chemicals in the water. Thank you. Rita Gates. It's not a good start to parents' evening. What can I say? It worked for a while. But the good news is I'm doing well at art and English. Spelling is only so-so. Could improve at maths. Could do better at science and history. Good at PE. It's not all bad. Room for improvement, Mr. Fullerman says. They have a nice chat about me, like I'm not there. Tom this, Tom that. I smile and agree not to. Chat so much, doodle so much. Fake letters from home again. Generally, I'm an okay kid. It's a reasonably good parents' evening. Then Mum and Dad both read my new hobby, which I completely forgot about, and it all goes horribly wrong. From the looks on their faces, I can see they're not happy. My New Hobby by Tom Gates. My mum and dad like to use my pocket money as an extra way of making me do things I'm not very keen on. For instance, tidy your room or no pocket money. Eat your vegetables or no pocket money. Be nice to your sister or no pocket money, which I think is possibly against my human rights. And if that's not bad enough, Dad seems to take great pleasure in placing my money on very high places, like doors, shelves, and anywhere I can't easily reach it. When I do finally get my hands on it, Mum often borrows it back to buy milk and newspapers, emergency money, is what she says. I discover my new hobby completely by accident, fed up of listening to Mum and Mrs. Fingal, Derek's mum, chit-chatting outside the shops for what seems like hours. I sit on the pavement and look really bored. My legs ache too. When someone walks past me, he drops some money into my lap. Real money! It's brilliant. I think they must feel sorry for me. So I put on an even sadder face and someone else gives me another £1. By the time Mum Then Mrs. Fingal had finished talking. I've made £3.70, all on my own, which gets me thinking, what if I use a shakily written sign like, "Please help me," and wear some old worn-out clothes? So I give that a go too, and make even more money. The great thing about my new hobby is you can do it anywhere you want. Lots of different people. And now I don't have to rely on Mum and Dad for my pocket money anymore. It's a hobby I would recommend to everyone. I'm also in a band, but we don't make any money yet. The end. You've been begging? I can't believe it. Begging? Mum and Dad keep looking at me and shaking their heads. I wasn't begging, it's just a story. On the way home, they remind me again that not everyone is as lucky as you, Tom, and begging is no joke. I'm trying to convince them that I was not begging. I tell them I was using my imagination. I would never beg, ever. It was just a story, pretending. Ha ha ha. I think they believe me now. For you. Delia hears Mum and Dad talking about my parents' evening and how they thought I'd been begging. She suddenly comes over and offers me a caramel wafer. Even though I know she's up to something, I stupidly go to take it. I hear you're good at begging. Beg for the wafer then, she says, and wafts the wafer in front of me. I want the wafer so badly that I actually say, please, and she says, say pretty please. So I say, pretty please. It's so humiliating. I can't hear you. Pretty please. Then, to my surprise, Delia actually hands me over the wafer and goes off laughing. Ha 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 ha. It's only when I try and open the wafer I realise that I've fallen for the old empty biscuit wrapper trick. Very funny, Delia. Very funny. I suddenly feel inspired to write a new song. When Derek comes over, I show him the new song I've just written for Dog Zombies. He likes it a lot. It's called Delia's a Weirdo.
Who's that weirdo over there? Dressed in black with greasy hair. Can't trust her. She's not nice. She's got no heart. Just a block of ice. Delia, she's a weirdo. Delia, she's a geek. Delia, she's a weirdo. She's a freak. Delia's a grumpy moon. Don't let her stand next to you. Big black glasses hide her eyes. She really smells. And that's no lie. Delia, she's a weirdo. Delia, she's a geek. Delia, she's a weirdo. She's a freak. Delia, she's a weirdo. Delia, she's a geek. Delia, she's a weirdo. She's a freak. Delia, she's a weirdo. Delia, she's a geek. Delia, she's a weirdo. She's a freak. Oh yeah.
Back to school. Tom, I'm still waiting for your homework. I got carried away practicing Delia's a Weirdo. It's sounding really good. I've written a few more good verses. We'll have to do homework tonight, before the Do 3 concert. I'm so excited I can hardly concentrate. Marcus is going on and on about his VIP tickets. Shut up, Marcus. Even Amy is fed up with him. Mr. Fullerman reminds us that Do 3 is not the only concert coming up. How did he know about Do 3? Don't forget about the school concert, he tells us. When Mr. Fullerman starts the lesson, I'm trying to work out how many hours it will be before the concert starts. Loads. Too many. Then the clock in the classroom doesn't seem to be moving at all. This is the longest lesson Mr. Fullerman has ever given us. I'm staring at the clock and it's definitely not moving. The more I stare, the slower the time goes. And Mrs. Mumble keeps interrupting the lesson with an announcement that no one can understand. Can't please come to the office, Mr. Fullerman, thank you. Did anyone understand that? Mr. Fullerman asks. Then she says it again, but it's no clearer. The lesson is never going to end. Mr. Fullerman leaves the classroom to check what's going on. It might be important, he says, as if. While he's gone, I have a brainwave. I stand on the table and move the hand forward on the clock, so the lesson is nearly finished. This goes down well with my classmates. Hooray! 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 Mr. Fullerman looks slightly confused. When he comes back, he checks his own watch. Is the clock fast? No, Mr. Fullerman. Has anyone touched the clock? No, Mr. Fullerman. He notices the clock is slightly wonky on the wall. Mr. Fullerman is not convinced. He stands on a chair to put the clock back to the right time. Just as Mr. Fullerman makes Mrs. Mumble makes another announcement. It makes Mr. Fullerman jump and he wobbles off the chair onto the floor. It's a disaster. We'll never get out of this lesson at this rate. Not that I'm being unsympathetic, but this is turning out to be the longest lesson ever. Mr. Fullerman is wincing in pain and takes twice as long to do or say anything, and the rest of the day doesn't go any faster. It's like someone knows it's the concert tonight and is deliberately slowing the world down. Maths is a drag. PE takes forever. I'm getting changed out of my PE kit in the sports changing rooms when there is another really loud noise that starts blaring out of the speakers. Not Mrs. Mumble this time, something even louder. Mr. Fullerman says it's a fire alarm drill. Leave everything and exit in an orderly fashion. Don't run, go outside. I manage to grab my shoes and follow everyone else outside to wait in the playground, even though we have to wait for the register to be taken and wait for all the other classes to come out. Suddenly, time's flying by, mainly because Marcus has left his trousers behind and is standing in the playground in just his pants. Mrs. Knapp gives him a jumper to tie around his waist. Now it looks like he's wearing a skirt. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen in ages. Mr. Fullerman says we can all go home slightly early now. Hooray! I'm telling Derek all about what happened to Marcus on the way home, especially the jumper skirt bit. When he tells me he's got a proper name for his dog now, I tried to guess what it is. Rocky. Rover. Fang. It's Rooster, he says. Rooster? That's kind of a chicken, isn't it? You're naming your dog after a chicken? I suppose I'll get used to it. Cluck. Do 3. Here we come. Do 3 concert. Derek has brought Rooster over and he's running around our house looking for Delia. She's already gone to meet her friend, boyfriend more like. Derek and I are wearing our Do 3 t-shirts and looking cool. Dad is wearing another terrible t-shirt and horrid trousers. He doesn't look cool. Mum agrees with me and makes him change. And no crowd surfing, she tells Dad as we leave the house. Then Dad remembers the tickets were in his other trousers, so he goes back to find them. But he can't find them anywhere. Don't panic. This is dreadful. I panic. Derek is trying not to panic. We look around the whole house. In Delia's room, my room, the kitchen. Don't worry, they're here somewhere, he says. He checks his pockets, the bedrooms, the bathroom. We are officially frantic. Where are the tickets? Yep. Rooster is running around chasing us from room to room. It's really annoying because he is barking and yapping and it's making everyone stressed. Mum sends Rooster out to the garden. I'm checking my room again when I look out the window and see Rooster playing with some bits of paper. The bits of paper look like they could have been the tickets. Bad Rooster, Derek is saying, but it's too late. The tickets are all mangled and covered in teeth marks and dog drill. I'll stick them together, Dad says. It'll be fine, but it's not fine. The tickets are ruined. Maybe Uncle Kevin and Auntie Alice will sell us their tickets, Dad says. Don't bank on it, Mum says. We'll think of something, Dad says, but I'm too stunned to say anything at all. We go to the gig anyway. I'm never going to get a dog, I say to Derek, which is a bit unfair. I know, because it's not his fault. I'm just really angry with this stupid chicken dog. Grr. Bad Rooster. Amy is already there waiting with her dad. Let's see if they'll take the tickets anyway, says Dad. The man on the door takes one look at the bits of ticket and shakes his head. Sorry, mate, can't take these, they're all mashed up. Just then, things couldn't get any worse. Marcus and his dad turns up clutching 4 VIP tickets. Turns out they have two spare VIP tickets, and Marcus' dad suggests that we could have them. Marcus doesn't take after his dad. He seems quite nice. I want to go so badly, but my dad says that Amy and Derek should go, because we might be able to get in with Uncle Kevin. I'm very brave. I tell Amy and Derek that I really don't mind and that I'll be fine. Then I watched all four of them go off to the concert. Inside, I can't believe Derek and Amy have gone with Marcus. This is terrible. Uncle Kevin and Auntie Alice are waving and calling Dad. Uncle Kevin is looking particularly pleased with himself. Dad tells him what's happened and how he can't get in now with the mangled tickets. Uncle Kevin says, "Typical you," which makes Dad cross. Uncle Kevin, being a salesman, has actually sold their tickets for 3 times as much as he paid for them. He's very happy and they're going for dinner instead of the concert. I think the cousins would rather have seen the band. Great, this is turning out to be a nightmare. I'll never get to see my favourite band now. Dad sees I'm really upset. "Stay here, don't move," he says. "I'll get some tickets, don't you worry, Tom." I'm so miserable. I sit on the floor and look really fed up. The concert is about to start and we've got no chance of seeing them at this rate. Then I have an idea. It's a long shot, but I've nothing to lose. I'm desperate. I find a paper bag and already have a pen. Then I get writing and drawing. "Please help, the dog has destroyed my tickets." I'm attracting a bit of attention, but no tickets yet. A lady walks past and says, "Poor you," which is nice. Then I'm suddenly aware of a man in leather trousers reading my note. He's shaking his head and looking at me. I put on an extra sad face. Then he starts walking towards me and there's something very familiar about him. I'm sure I've seen him before. Then he asks me a question. "Is this your new hobby, Tom?" he asks, and it suddenly dawns on me who it is. Blimey, it's Mr. Fullerman. Ah, leather trousers, and he's wearing leather trousers. What's he doing here? It's a terrible moment, bumping into a teacher outside of school. You don't really think of them having a life out of being a teacher. It's a shock, especially the leather trousers. Dad comes back with no tickets. He's not pleased to see me begging. "You're begging? You told me it was a made-up story, Tom." "It was. I was desperate," I say. "Stop begging right now. There must be another way to see Do 3. Then Mr. Fullerman says, "Hello, Mr. Gates. I think I might be able to help." And Dad looks as shocked as me to see it's Mr. Fullerman, wearing leather trousers. I'm wondering what Mr. Fullerman is doing at a Do 3 gig in the first place. And guess what? Turns out Mr. Fullerman actually went to school with Do 3's manager. They are good friends. Mr. Fullerman is not just a crusty old teacher after all. "Thanks, man. No problem. Nice trousers." He speaks to someone backstage who gives us all special passes. Now I can watch the whole gig from the side of the stage. I would hug Mr. Fullerman if he wasn't my teacher and wearing leather trousers. It's the best view ever. Do 3 are absolutely brilliant and I can see everything. I see Derek and Amy and wave. Derek and Amy wave back. Marcus has his mouth open like a goldfish in shock. It's almost the best part of the gig. Ha ha! Then I spot Delia in the audience. She's with her boyfriend, so I point him out to Dad and stir things up by saying he's got a very bad reputation around town. What a fantastic night I'm having. Do 3 are playing all their best songs. Then right at the end, it gets better. Do 3 come off stage and the whole band high-five me. I'll never watch again. I'm still buzzing when I get home. Dad has forgotten about my begging note. Phew. He's too busy worrying about Delia's boyfriend. I go to bed happy and relive the whole gig in my head. This is probably the best day of my life. In the morning, Delia is slopping around the house, sulking and being miserable. Apparently it's all my fault because Mum and Dad want to meet her new friend now. I'm a genius. Dad is humming Do 3 songs at breakfast. Mum is wearing a Do 3 t-shirt. It's so embarrassing. Old people trying to be trendy. I can't get out of the house quick enough. Derek and I go to school together. He's so wishing he'd stuck with me at the concert now. Seeing Mr. Fullerman again in teacher mode was really weird. The first thing he asks me, "Where's your homework, Tom?" "I was at the concert, sir. Remember?" Mr. Fullerman says that's no excuse. I'll get a detention unless I bring it in first thing in the morning, which is a bit harsh. He's so back in teacher mode. With all the excitement about Do 3, I completely forgot about the school concert, which apparently is today. I'm not worried because I'm not in it. No choir, which is a relief for you. Mrs. Knapp is looking for helpers to put chairs out in the hall. Helpers get to miss lessons, so I volunteer. All I have to do is show little kids what to do. How hard is that? We get out the chairs, and when they start to mess around, I get tough and suggest a quick game of musical chairs which keeps them happy. There's no music, so I sing my song. Delia's a weirdo. Delia, she's a weirdo. Delia, she's a freak. It's all going very well. The little kids join in and sing along with me. Delia, she's a weirdo. Delia, she's a freak. Very catchy chorus. Then I sing the verse. When Mr. Keene pops his head round the door to see how we're doing, we all pretend to be arranging the chairs. Little kids learn fast. That's a jolly song, Tom, he says. Really, Mr. Keene? You performing in the concert today? No, Mr. Keene. Why not? You should be. I'll have a word with Mrs. Knapp to give you a slot at the end. No, Mr. Keene, it's fine. Really, I don't want to sing. Nonsense, that sounded excellent. Don't you agree, children? And all the little kids cheer and say, yeah, yeah, yeah. Groan. That's all I need. This could be very humiliating. Correction. It will be very humiliating. I don't think Mr. Keene heard all the lyrics to the Dog Zombies song either. Are you mad? Of course I don't want to play in the school concert, Derek says. He thinks Dog Zombies have to plan their first gig very carefully. In other words, we're still a bit rubbish and need more practice. But he does come up with a brilliant plan that will get me off the hook and save me from serious humiliation. The only good thing about the school concert is we get to go home early to prepare, eat caramel wafers in my case. Mum says, what do you mean there's a school concert tonight? I forgot to tell them. And you're in it? Sort of, I say. Mum and Dad plan to meet Delia's dodgy boyfriend tonight. I'm not leaving them here on their own, Dad says. They'll both have to come to the concert too. Ha ha, Delia will be delighted. I hate you. A romantic night out at my school concert. She'll be so cross, it's almost worth being in the concert for. Derek and I run through our plan one last time on the way back to school. It has to work or I'll be stuffed. Back at school, the hall is already packed with people. Mum and Dad sit at the back, which is a relief, because Mum has on her Do 3 t-shirt and Dad is wearing a gardening gear. Delia and her boyfriend look jolly. Not. Derek and I run through our plan one last time. I hope it works. The lights go down and the concert begins. First, there's some slightly boring poetry. The star was bright. We got a big fright at night. Then we have to sit through some songs and of course the choir. Watching Marcus and Solid swaying from side to side is hilarious. Amy is very good, of course. There's a play by Year 3, quite funny, and a dance by Year 6. It's rubbish. Then Mr. Keene makes a speech about what a good term it's been. Blah, blah, blah. And I hear him telling everyone how he heard me singing and thought I should be in the concert. It's awful. I can feel myself getting nervous and sweaty. Now it's my turn. Mr. Keene asks me what my song is called. Delia's a weirdo, I say, which makes everyone laugh, apart from Delia, who's giving me the evils. I sit on the stage and clear my throat. Everyone is looking at me and waiting, so I clear my throat again, and wait, and strum a little, like I'm warming up. Mr. Keene is glaring at me now, so I'm thinking I might have to actually start singing, if Derek's plan doesn't work. When, at long last, a very loud blaring noise goes off. Mr. Fullerman tells everyone not to panic, it's just a fire alarm. We all have to leave the hall straight away. The concert is abandoned. Result. Derek is a genius. He gives me a thumbs up as we leave school. Better still, Delia can hear some little children singing my song. Delia, she's a weird dog. Delia, she's a freak. She's not happy, but her boyfriend is laughing. He won't be her boyfriend for long at this rate. What's funny? Mum and Dad think it's a shame I didn't get to do my song. I don't. Maybe next time. Don't write about your sister though, Mum tells me. It only upsets her. Exactly. Dad suggests writing about someone else who annoys me instead. Like Uncle Kevin, he adds, which makes me laugh. But Mum is giving him the evils now. Uh-oh. When we get home, Dad and I escape to his shed to eat his secret stash of caramel wafers. It's the last day of the term tomorrow, so I mustn't forget. I only have tonight to finish my review homework. It's the last piece I have left to do. I know, I'll review the school concert. That won't take long. Just eat the last wafer biscuit and wrap it up for Delia first. Haha, and draw a few more pictures. Then I'll start my homework in the morning. I'll have loads of time to do it if I get up early. That's a good idea. Mr. Fullerman, I'm so sorry about my review homework. As you can see, I did do it. Let me explain. I was on my way to school when I was followed and attacked by a vicious dog. I defended myself with the only thing I could think of, my exercise book. Luckily, I survived, but my review homework didn't. Sorry again. Oh dear, Tom, I was looking forward to finally reading it. You will just have to do it again over the holidays. In the meantime, let's hope you don't get abducted by aliens or attacked by giants. What an eventful life you have. See you and your homework next term, Mr. Fullerman. Result. Alright, well that's the end of the book. If you haven't already, please can you like and subscribe and hit that little bell. See ya!